Hi everyone, welcome to White Noise. My name's Robyn and I'm your host today. It's October 8th and we were here just a week ago and the seats were brimming with folk and it was really lovely. And now we have something kind of very paradoxical to that, but it's great. I always tell David this and he's like, doesn't get it, but I'm like, I love when there's like no people here because then I can like just talk as long as I want. And it's always like more intimate and I feel like easier to express yourself because no one's listening, literally. But you know, I love it no matter how many people are here. I mean, there's been one time when it was just me and Angela, a regular here, and it was great. We just like both read for like, well, she performed and I read for like 15 minutes and it was so lovely. And, you know, you just got to make the most of it no matter what. And it's just about putting what you want out into the world. So that's what I'm going into this reading with. So yeah, let's just kick it off though, because, you know, why not? Our first performer is Jack.
All right, so this first song that I'm going to be singing, I'm going to be singing the original version, which in the very early 1900s was sang in northern Italy by the women workers in the rice fields. This song was later sang by the anti-fascist forces, and the lyrics were changed around a bit for the more common version of this song, I guess, the more known version of this song. But I like the original version better, so I'll just sing it. Alla mattina, appena alzata, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Alla mattina, appena alzata, il siamo cantar. I fragmentetti, le zanzare, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. I fragmentetti, le zanzare, loro lavoro mi tocca far. Il capo in piedi, sul bastione, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Capo in piedi, sul bastione, il che vi lavora. Oh mamma mia, oh che tormento, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Mamma mia, oh che tormento, lo invoco ogni domani. Ed ogni ora che qui passiamo, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Ed ogni ora che qui passiamo, noi perdiamo la gioventù. Ma per un giorno, e tutte quante, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. Ma per un giorno, che tutte quante, lavoreremo in libertà. Ma per un giorno, che tutte quante, lavoreremo in libertà. Thanks. Yeah, I guess I could have went low a couple of times when I went high there, but let's do another. Can I do three?
Sure.
Thank you. This next song is a song in Tagalog, and it's called Awit ng Proletario, or this song of the proletariat. Tang tang hunubag mo magalipunan sa mundo. Ang kabihas na naitatag sa dugo at pawis mo.
Mga palasyo ng hari, ika ang nagtayo. Ikaw rin ang humuka ng mga palamuting ginto. Pasang-pasang ang hirap sa dalang taon. Walang tanggal, walang bukas, alipin ang mga Panginoon. Pasang-pasang ang hirap sa dalang taon. Walang tanggal, walang bukas, alipin ang mga Panginoon. Magayamang nilikha mo, tanggitin ang luho. Tuwang-tuwa ng papasasa sa mga panghirap mo. Kaya sa hararing ito, ika'y ay magpasa. At sa lakas ng proletaryo, wakas ang pagsasamantala. Basang-basang ang hirap sa dang-dang taon. Walang tanggal, walang bukas, alipin ang mga Panginoon. Basang-basang ang hirap sa dang-dang taon. Walang tanggal, walang bukas, alipin ang mga Panginoon.
Thank you. We'll do one more. I guess I won't do the other one that I wrote out. I'll do one in English. So this song is called Old Man River. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that song. It's from a show tune, a musical back in the day. Paul Robeson sang it. I don't know if you know who Paul Robeson was. He was his Hollywood career was ruined because he wasn't afraid to say that he was a communist in front of the House Un-American Activities Committee, and throughout his career he would go to strikes and sing to the workers, and he never he never relinquished his ideals, and he was eventually lynched in New York by a white supremacist mob.
There's an old man on the Mississippi. That's the old man I don't like to be. What does he care if the world's got trouble? What does he care if the land ain't free? Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something, but don't say nothing. He just keeps rolling. He keeps on rolling along. He don't plant taters, he don't plant cotton, and them that plant them is soon forgotten. Old Man River, he keeps on rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Pull that barge, lift that bale, you show a little grit and you land in jail. But I keep laughing instead of crying. I must keep fighting until I'm dying. Or Old Man River, he'll just keep rolling along.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jack. Can we have another round of applause? I'm always so astonished when people can memorize things and recite them, because I can't do that, and I think it's so cool. And your songs were so full of spirit, and they were really amazing. So thank you for coming and sharing them. And I hope you come share more songs here. Yeah. Next up is Teresa Landy Daniel.
Thank you.
Welcome to the stage.
I'd like to read the edited versions of the last two poems that I worked on with my poetry writing circle, with Will and Patrick Hammer, Robert Langdon, and Lucinda Abra. This one is from just last night, and Patrick's the one who says, give it a month and go back and rewrite it, and I give it about 10 minutes. It's called Falling. Stairs are frightening. A twink of an ankle this morning, timely catch of the rail again. I bound too quickly, maybe can't grab hold, the front heavy pull of a cumbersome box of old books, or because I can't see around a load of laundry hugged to my chest. Down from the bedroom, 3 blind turns of the staircase, the more deadly basement steps, slabs of thick bluestone. That armload of dirty clothes, a saving cushion against the brick wall at the last close call, a slip just above the landing. On a hiking trail, perhaps, like last week, because sheer rock is slippery with rain, or a boot heel catches in stepping over a soggy dead log and the rot rolls. Like a felled tree, last thing to hit the ground, my skull on a flat of stone. A knee whines, but I'll be okay until that day I'm not. One step at a time, distrustful of progressive lenses, suspicious, feeling hexed. Morta with her shears clacking to cut the thread, woven and measured by her sister fates. The hanged man suspended by a rope around one ankle. Death by falling, a turn of the tarot. Will the next card be the last one? Thank you. And the other one is from, I think, 3 weeks ago. Now, why can't I find it? From 3 weeks ago. And most of the time, I write these poems that are like 3 pages long. And those shears of Morta come out, and everybody tells me, get rid of this verse and that verse and the other verse. So this is a scaled-down version of a poem called The Quick and the Dead. He isn't really there. His brain has gone fungal, puffed by lack of air somehow, swelled to flatten up against the concave bone of his skull, the upside-down bowl that hides the shell game, end game. No feature of function, no walnut surface whirls. The X-ray shows a smooth white mushroom cap, too large with a stem grown longer, strangled through the base, no more space to fill through the nothing there. No hope to feed the bleached bulb without spark. Strange healings are happening in this limbo. Fueled by the oxygen pump, the bruise around his eye is fading. A raging red-violet crescent now gentled to lavender rose, a pale stain no longer screaming. His thumb joint, that carbuncle on the knuckle, a lump of anxiety worried like a worry stone, now softening and shrunken, glazed and sealed under a film like bakelite already yellowing. Picked at for years, it can rest, no longer angry. Whiskers and nails still growing, lungs filling, chest falling, moving into the 3rd day. The best, having his hand to hold, it molds to mine, the sweet, pale, soft skin of his palm still warm. But his brain is gone. I must let go soon. Thank you.
You watch the wrong beauty. With crime in your teeth and saints in your veins, you watch the wrong beauty, drink the dirty liquors of Bombay, and teach dawn to beggars who pray. She injects needles with the Queen of Siam and gives faith the final exam. This beauty you watch with your blood tied in knots. She swallows the eye off a dollar and corners the peepholes of desire. She sips the religion out of a martini and strips to skin made of lead. The address she gave is nothing like God's. So light the match to your pride and worship both sides. The beauty who beats the devil at charades, and the beauty who leads the animal liberation parade. She will not be denied, this beauty who crushes cathedrals to make wedding day rings and marches down the aisle between angels and fire. The number she gave lists zeros out to the horizon, so call when you're feeling immortal. She'll whisper your name like a hurricane. Thank you. Coyote. Coyote. Your name isn't a porn star's. You've eaten the last of the lackluster hearts and come to Peekskill, where the Pontiac dealership has become a museum of styrofoam mountains. The Verizon guys and the Instagram couple who share lunch pails on the bench share stories of seeing you in broad daylight, voting with your nose behind a slow baby carriage. Your fur the color of ash, not the fine powder of cremation, but the sticky tar balls from the incinerator that burned Barbie dolls. Neither the mayor nor the police acknowledge you as the eye of the storm, disguised as a mangy old dog, the warden of alleyways known for needles and cold nights. Is it true what's written in gas station stalls? You'll lick the rust off exhaust pipes for your iron-poor blood and do anything for a hot heap of roadkill. Your name isn't Clarissa, who makes a good living naked in collars. Your name isn't Wallace, who thinks he owns this town down to the sewers. Many times the public has petitioned to put out more poison, but at dusk they mistake your howls for the music of angels, or at least dead brakes ascending to heaven. You and I both know politics tastes like cheap leather, but you're in the running to become the new Monsieur of Our Lady of Survivors. And one more. Why you should make trouble. Because the volcano has gone into rehab for satanic eruptions, while bankers DJ the Stones' best screwing songs. Because the delete button is powerless to restore sanity, while tornadoes rip tenure right out of the trees. Because riots are no longer any fun. Because viral worms have invaded the motherboard, while democracy leaks from the bucket. Because the apocalypse can't even spell its own name. Because the sun powders its face with gold, while the void laments its lost bones. Because Medusa keeps sending out valentines. Because I love you amidst too much information, let me just say, the world is complicated, but never as complicated as our next kiss, or as simple. Thank you.
My purse. Actually, they're just fine. They're very they're very pale sunglasses, and the phone is bright. So, okay. I'd like to read a couple of poems that I read at the discussion for Ear and Eye 2 weeks ago today. I had the great fortune to be asked to stand in for someone who was ill and originally supposed to do the poetry segment of the show before the artist, the fine artist, and the musician. It's a great series if you ever want to check it out. First Tuesday of the month up at the 9W Diner in Saugerties from 7 to 9. It's excellent. Okay, this first one called Special Providence is pretty much the first poem I ever wrote, and I'm waiting for my inspiration to write one as good as this one. It almost seems somebody else wrote it. This is 5 years later, I think, or 6. Special Providence. Nestled in fluff and woven twists, hatchlings, a vibrating bloom of mouths, deep diamond petal points open, held up like cups on bony necks. 4 spider-veined pale hinges of want, yellow yell demand, more sway and pulse than sound. Bird mother feeding frantic, bobbing beak, and again, snips down throats. Can she count? Equal shares fill each cup? Aside and under a small bowed head, eyes still closed, mouth clamped, opened perhaps briefly, perhaps not. Need passed over, or too weak to even try. An exhale, a stir. Rest against the nest, beneath the nearest sibling mouth. Adrift, then half capsized. Jarred by its energy, that waiting hinge of want. Flapping feeder returns to a too full nest, alights. Imbalance on the rim, claw catch reflex spreads and dips a wing that slips in through the angled fault below the greedy and above the silent one. No demand, no diamond open to be filled, the briefest brush of its thin skull cap, the tender, barely conscious dome against the soft of the outer wing. The single moment of contact before swept over the edge by the lift of a retucked wing. Thank you. And the first poem I wrote for my poetry circle, I see time. I see time long and narrow, skimming the gentle swells to a point short of the horizon, where it sighs into the sea blue to drown without struggle, just ceases to breathe. I see time wide to east and west, a swath spreading parallel to the other side of the street, brushing low against the curbstone. A horse might watch the time, swifting in both directions, then canter to the left, effortlessly jump obstacles to the right, cross invisible finish lines and win races in both directions. I'm not a horse. My periphery is limited. I dart a gaze right then left, panic squint east then west, lose track, admit defeat. I stare straight ahead at a ledge where edges meet, black asphalt and pale concrete. Time stops there, without care, without struggle, holds its breath. Thanks. Two about grief. Everybody in the room knows that I lost my son. He was very young, 24 years old, died of vape disease. So that poem that I read before was about him on life support. This is an aftermath poem. Empty teacup. When did time walk through the door? Out this time, not in. There is day out there, closing now toward the golden time, those minutes of sheer beauty out there. A frail blue curtain calmly hangs, then sighs a brief soft that says, yes, the window is open a level sliver. There are 2 dead flies at the corner of the sill, poor little dry things, wings set vibrating by the soft blow of breeze. Just for a second, like a dying reflex, just a twitch. The chair is comfortable, the perfect height for an elbow on the table, holding up the cupped hand to hold in turn the tight-drawn chin of a mother waiting on a refilled cup. Thank you. Apple butter. Rolling dead weight is a cumbersome task. He tipped forward instead of dropping back, and his inert digestive tract emptied out onto the bedding, into a clump puddle below his cheek. The contents of his stomach looked and smelled like apple butter, made from good organic fruit. Uncanny, the mildly pleasant sensation of wiping the sauce from his handsome, cool face. No artificially bland color, no pungent chemical smells like those from the vape fluids that had destroyed his lungs. This, just the pure, rich, scented brown that nature intended apples to turn when fallen to the ground, or cooked or baked into something comforting. Thank you. 2 more short ones, and then do you have more to read? Oh, I wish you did. I'm all wrapped up in thoughts of time, life, death, the notion of an afterlife, which as an atheist I don't really believe. And of course, very, very deep personal tragedy can make you think about things that you don't usually think about. Horizon, staring at the monitor above and to the side, at an angle to be viewed from the railed-in space of the ICU bed. One red thread leaping and skipping from left to right in sharp peaks and valleys, above and below a horizon stretching beyond the screen. Limbo is an unsettling place. Toward what direction does the leaving life travel? The right way, I think, east of northeast, where the sun rises on pain and peace alike. Thank you. And Pathways. I think these 2 poems were originally 1 and went on for pages or something. So that was some of the advice from my group was take that out and make a different poem out of it. Pathways. A stop at a 3-way intersection where the life road forks. Straight forward on this one sure road no longer guaranteed. Stalled still, except my eyes darting in uncertain panic. A wide, sturdy-seeming stretch of smooth, pale pavement to the left, made for speed and freedom. A motorcycle glory ride, the heady risk of wipeout. Along a shoulder splaying spikes, spears to heat-seek the vulnerable heel, pierce the side up under the ribs. To the right, a solemn grandway turn, the more slender forking, lined with trees tall and elegant, like long sculpted necks breathing song. Sirens whispering seduction, lulling, promising no expectations. Breezes through branches and leaves brush the ground with modeling in motion, shadow and glow hypnotic, almost numbing. The cloying air demands I choose how to decide, commit, inevitable disaster and pain, or soul-blanking lethargy presenting as benign. Agitated musings, eyes averted, sitting on a rock at the side of the road I'm on, have been on for 2 decades. A thought born of this inertia, Endymion chose eternal sleep to achieve immortality. Thank you. Is that enough?
Thank you, Teresa and Will and Teresa again. You guys and Jack, all of our readers, thank you so much. And I'm going to finish us off today. I have a few. I've just been experiencing a lot of writer's block recently. And I think it's just because I'm not listening to myself enough. And I don't know, I was looking back at the stuff I've written in the past week and I was like, where did all these poems come from? And this first one I wrote today at work because I just felt like it and my bosses weren't there, so I didn't really care. This one's called Waterlogged, and a lot of these poems are inspired by Greek myth because I've been reading a book that David gave me, and it's incredible. I love it. And it's been inspiring a lot of my writing. And this one's called Waterlogged. Ocean. We are floating in the ocean. The unbearable wetness of ocean. Heads bobbing amidst cyclical waves, I paddle towards you. The unbearable and teeming wetness between my legs. Like I'm 13 and we're making out on your couch. Seeping through my jeans like a slashed tree, seeping sap, dripping down the length of its bark. You call out to me. Arethusa, my gushing spring, Alpheus, your foaming mouth. Like two bodies of water, we mingle in conceptual and contracting rhythm. This version is unabridged. Our feet and fingers feel for water-smoothed shells that I place on my breasts. 18 and caught in strong river current with downcast eyes. In the photo, they labeled me nymph. On your quest through naked forests, you hunt my waterlogged scent. Face smeared with mud, I paint your trail with Xerox copies of my facade, camera inching closer. My body is your prize, seek and you shall find. You, hunter, who decided to become nature, splash and slosh in my waves for all eternity. Thanks. Yeah, I weirdly like that one. I don't know. I feel like when I'm writing about myth, it's like been coming kind of naturally to me. This one's called Of Legend. The shadows that the pebbles make on concrete as the sunlight cascades from directly north. There is no ventilation, only large windows. The patches of sunlight on our membrane, skin so thin it's translucent. The buttons I unlatch and hooks I slip through. You said it was nice. A party full of faces holding and hiding, and my paranoia slithers around me like the unholy python of creation myth. Who struck it dead? Was it Achilles, sovereign Achilles, belonging to no king but envied by all men? Or was it Athena, her arrows cast from the heavens, or Artemis, daughter of the sky, vengeful and raped? Who was it that struck him dead? Young Apollo, hair long, gleaming like gold, who struck Python as he weaved his way up the turrets and columns that create Delphi. No sooner than this, and we are just a shadow on the roadside, cast on the dark side of pebble and rubble on concrete, waiting to be read about. Thank you. This one's called Sage. I identify with the sage plant on my windowsill. Only a few leaves remain after I picked off its bulk. Bought out of necessity when picked sage wasn't in stock, just an afterthought. Sitting, skeletal, on my windowsill, getting the greatest view of Main Street as it sits stock straight, stoic and still, underwatered but ready to grow. The best flavor in these months of light chill and erupting colors. I identify with its uniqueness, its full body despite its lack of leaves, how strong it stands even without any appendages. I don't know what I mean, really, just that I see it and I feel it in some strange, almost sad way. Though it'd be wrong to say that it is sad, it's just a plant. Emotions are beyond comprehension, if comprehension is even a word I can use in this context. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I've ran 3 miles today and shit twice, ate 3 slices of bread and coffee twice. I'm just kidding about the coffee. I've been on my first cup for 4 hours and I still have a ways to go. I guess I'm just trying to make sense of nothing, of this plain day and my plain life in this plain society, so plain, so plain. I rub the sage all over me. Thank you. This one I wrote yesterday. I also wrote it at work, but don't tell my bosses. It's called Apocalypse. I kept having dreams about apocalypse, that a bomb would hit New York City and the lights would flicker out and our cars would stop and I'd be stuck somewhere on the highway as I'm trying to get to work. I'd have to abandon my car, a 2012 Subaru Impreza inherited from my grandmother, and walk all the way home, trekking through the wreckage around me. In my dream, everything ends quickly. Disorder is virulent and spreads like disease. There is smoke all around me. The sky is covered in a blanket of ash, like when the wildfires in Canada made the whole world tinted yellow. What if we had to live perpetually in yellow? I dream I make it back. It is nighttime now, and I've been walking all day. Main Street is desolate, and I feel I am the only one left. Cars parked unevenly on the road, some planted right in the center, void of its owner, just a shell of something that not long ago could be akin to necessity. All the cell towers are down, and I have no way of knowing if anyone has made it out alive. It's hard to say whether my survival is good fortune or just the beginning of endless hardships ahead. I dream it real. I dream these nightmares real because I'm driving down the highway to work and I don't see an end. And as I wind the narrow mountain path at the final stretch of this commute, the whole world is engulfed in a fog so dense I think for a moment that I could fly off the ledge and be carried away into the eternal fog, getting lost in it. My maze, my apocalypse, key stuck in ignition, sputtering to a stop. Thanks. This is the last one I have, and I am performing at O Positive this weekend, which I'm super excited about. And I wrote this one with that in mind. I think I'm gonna perform it there, but I wanted to read it aloud to an audience first to see if it's well received, because I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's kind of more prose than poetry. It's prose poetry, I guess. But the theme for O Positive this year is noise. So I've been thinking a lot about that, but I'm not good at writing with a theme in mind, I think. So it's been hard for me to write stuff, but I wrote this, so hopefully you guys like it. If not, then I might have to just, figure it out. And it's called Noises. It's early October, the leaves are changing, and they bring tourists in their wake. It's a Sunday, just past noon, and the streets are alive with families and dogs and couples holding hands. There are motorcycles revving their engines down Main Street, and people pop in and out of the small stores that line the street. They are hungry, need some caffeine, and want to spend money. The patter of small feet as children race up and down the street, some calling for their mother, some crying or laughing or screaming for no apparent reason. A sudden cacophony of dogs barking at each other, at the cars, at a squirrel racing up the trees, claws scratching the bark as it nestles in a clump of leaves, pronounced in their dryness. An electric car, not silent as advertised, but quiet compared to the growl of gas. The way a candle spits and crackles, the way a ceramic mug touches something solid, blowing and slowly sipping hot water, feet running or walking or stomping above your head, metal clanking inside of a dryer, writing with pencil on paper, lead scrapping and imprinting on a thin, absorbent piece of scrap, a door shuts a mile away, metal hook weaving yarn in rhythmic pattern, click of the remote control, faraway voices from black box speak to an empty room, the abrupt silence as the dryer finishes its cycle, the desk shaking as I type with fervor, pens and pencils and needles rattling on its surface, and the content within it rumbling in distress, distant drone of the refrigerator, breeze from an open window, an electric car smashed into, rubble cascading across concrete, creating a pattern not unlike the denouement as the maple sheds its final leaves. Thank you. And that's it. That's all we have today, unless someone else wants to object to that. I love an objection. That's okay. I got like a long ride home. But thank you all for coming, for new voices and old. And I hope to see you all here again at White Noise, because can't do this without you guys. It would just be me, and that would be kind of boring. I mean, maybe not, but I could, make the most of it. But it's better when it's not just me. And I don't know when our next White Noise is, but I'll figure it out and I'll let you know at some point in time. But for now, I hope you all have a happy October, a happy Halloween. I'm going to be going away at the end of the month, which I'm so excited about, and getting out of this fucking country. So yeah, and that's all. White Noise signing off.